I never imagined my perfect life in Miami would unravel like this. My name is Mike Campbell, and I'm what you'd call a successful real estate broker. Last year alone, I closed deals worth over $20 million. I drive a Tesla Model S, live in a beachfront property in Coral Gables, and married what I thought was the woman of my dreams. My wife, Jessica, is everything a man could want. She's a fitness influencer with over 100,000 followers on Instagram. Her workout videos regularly go viral on TikTok. When we walk into South Beach restaurants, heads turn, not just because of her looks, though with her toned physique and perfect smile, she's stunning. It's her confidence, her energy, the way she lights up a room. We met 6 years ago at a charity gala at the Fontainebleau. I was there trying to network with potential clients. She was hired as one of the event promoters. One smile from her, and I was hooked. 3 months later, we were engaged. 6 months after that, we had a fairy tale wedding at Vizcaya Gardens. Life was perfect, or so I thought. We had our routine down. Every morning, Jessica would head to Elite Fitness, the high-end gym where she trained clients. I'd drive to my office in Brickell, making deals and building our future. Weekends were for entertaining on our boat, hosting BBQs with friends, living the Miami dream. My best friend Dan and his wife Sarah were regular fixtures at our gatherings. Dan and I had been friends since college at University of Miami. He was the one person I could always count on. That's why he was the first person I called after that night. The night, everything changed. It was a typical Tuesday evening. I had just closed a major deal on a waterfront property. Jessica had texted saying she was making her famous grilled salmon. When I got home, something felt off. The air was heavy with anticipation. Jessica had that look on her face, the one she gets when she's about to drop a bombshell. "Mike, we need to talk," she said, placing her wine glass on our marble countertop. I loosened my tie, trying to ignore the knot forming in my stomach. "What's up, babe?" She took a deep breath, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against the glass. "I've been thinking about our marriage." My heart stopped. "I think we should try something new." "New?" I managed to say. "I want us to try an open marriage." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. "An open marriage?" I repeated, sure I had misheard. "Yes," she said, her voice steady. "It's becoming more common, especially among successful couples." She reached for her phone, pulled up an article. "Look, even the New York Times is writing about it. You want us to sleep with other people?" "It's not just about sex, Mike," she said, rolling her eyes. "It's about freedom, trust, growing together." I stared at her, this woman I thought I knew. "Are you not happy with me?" "Of course I am," she said, reaching across the counter to take my hand. "This isn't about being unhappy." "Then what is it about?" "It's about exploring our full potential." She squeezed my hand. "All my friends in LA are doing it." "We're not in LA," I said. "Miami's changing, Mike. We need to change with it." That night, I couldn't sleep. Jessica lay next to me, peaceful as ever. I stared at the ceiling, watching our fan spin. The moonlight filtered through our floor-to-ceiling windows. Outside, palm trees swayed in the breeze. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. The next morning, I called Dan. "Meet me at Panther Coffee in an hour," I said. "Emergency." Dan was already there when I arrived. One look at my face and he knew something was wrong. "Dude, you look like shit." I slumped into the chair across from him. "Jessica wants an open marriage." Dan choked on his cold brew. "She what?" "Says it's the new thing," I said, running my hands through my hair. "That all her LA friends are doing it." "Man, that's messed up." Dan leaned forward. "What did you say?" "Nothing yet. She wants me to think about it." "And are you?" "I don't know. I don't want to lose her." Dan shook his head. "Mike, I've known you since we were freshmen. You've always been the one who had it together. The perfect job, the perfect wife, the perfect life." He paused. "But this sounds like trouble." What if I say no and she leaves? What if you say yes and she leaves anyway? I spent the next week in a daze, showing properties on autopilot, smiling at clients while my world crumbled. Every night, Jessica would ask if I'd thought about it. Every night, I'd say I needed more time. But I knew I was just postponing the inevitable. Finally, on a Friday night, after too many glasses of wine, "Okay," I said, "let's try it." Jessica's face lit up. She threw her arms around me. "You won't regret this, baby." But I already did. The rules were simple, or so Jessica said. We would both be free to see other people, but we had to be honest about it. No secrets, no jealousy. We were still primary partners. It all sounded so logical when she explained it, like a business arrangement, but my heart wasn't buying it. Jessica wasted no time. Within a week, she had plans. "There are these two trainers at the gym," she said, "Lucas and Ryan. They're interested in helping us explore this new arrangement." My stomach churned. "Both of them." "They're very open-minded," she smiled. "Very experienced with couples like us." The meeting was set for Saturday night. At our house, our sanctuary, now turned into some kind of experimental playground. I spent the day by the pool, drinking more than I should, trying to convince myself this was normal, modern, sophisticated. Lucas and Ryan arrived at 8. Both tall, muscular, exactly what you'd expect from Miami personal trainers. Designer watches, perfect tans, the kind of guys who probably lived at the gym. Jessica greeted them like old friends. Maybe they were. We sat by the pool, drinking inexpensive wine, making small talk about the weather, the Miami Heat's chances this season. Like this was just another dinner party. But the tension was thick, electric. Jessica was in her element, laughing, touching their arms, while I sat there, watching my wife flirt with two men in our own backyard. Around midnight, they left. Nothing had happened. Not really, but something had changed. I could see it in Jessica's eyes. The excitement, the possibilities. She was like a different person, and I was losing her, one piece at a time. The next morning, I went back to Panther Coffee. Dan was waiting. "How did it go?" I couldn't look him in the eye. "They're coming back next weekend." Dan was silent for a long moment. "Mike, you need to stop this." "I can't." "Why not?" "Because I love her." "Sometimes," Dan said, "love isn't enough." But I didn't listen. I couldn't. I was in too deep already, watching my marriage transform into something I didn't recognize, like a train wreck in slow motion. And I was just a passenger, unable to stop what was coming, unable to save myself or my marriage from the storm that was about to hit. A week turned into a month. 1 month became 2. Lucas and Ryan were now regular visitors to our house. Jessica said it was just friendship, but I saw the way they looked at her, the way she looked at them, like I wasn't even there. My work started to suffer. I missed calls from clients, forgot appointments, lost a major listing to a competitor. My boss called me into his office. "Everything okay at home, Mike?" I nodded, forced a smile. Never better. But I was drowning. Started drinking more than usual. Not the social drinking we did on our boat. The kind where you finish a bottle of whiskey alone. Watching the sunset from our balcony. Wondering how it all went wrong. Then Jessica met Ben, a hedge fund manager who worked out at Elite Fitness. "He's different," she said. "Special." The word cut through me like a knife. She wanted me to meet him. "It's important to me," she said. How could I say no? We met at Lido, the new rooftop bar in South Beach. Ben was everything I wasn't. Tall, confident, old money. The kind of guy who wore a Rolex like it was a Timex. He shook my hand firmly. "Mike, Jessica's told me so much about you." I bet she had. The evening was surreal. Watching my wife flirt with another man. Right in front of me. Ben ordered expensive champagne. Told stories about his adventures in St. Bart's. His private jet. His yacht in Monaco. Jessica hung on every word, her eyes sparkling like they used to sparkle for me. Why don't we go back to our place? Jessica suggested. The words hit me like ice water, but I nodded, like a puppet on strings, following them back to my own home, watching as Ben admired our view. Beautiful place you have here. Our place, not his. But the lines were blurring. What happened next was a blur. Jessica and Ben, on our couch, in our home, me sitting in the corner, like a spectator in my own life. The sound of their laughter, their whispers, the clinking of wine glasses. It all felt like a nightmare. But I couldn't wake up. The next morning, I called in sick to work, drove to the beach at sunrise, sat in my car for hours, watching the waves crash. My phone buzzed constantly. Messages from Jessica. Last night was amazing. Thank you for being so understanding. You're the best husband ever. I turned off my phone. Dan found me there. Somehow, he always knew where to look. Sarah told me she saw Jessica with some guy at Lido. I couldn't speak. Just handed him my phone. Let him read the messages. Jesus, Mike. He sat in the passenger seat, silent for a long moment. This has to stop. I know, but it didn't stop. It got worse. Ben became a regular fixture in our life. At our dinner parties, on our boat, in our bed. Jessica said it was perfect, that we were evolving, growing. I was dying inside. Then came Carlos, the owner of Elite Fitness. I should have seen it coming. The late-night training sessions, the private consultations, the business trips to fitness conventions. But I was too busy trying to hold myself together, too busy pretending everything was fine. It was Dan who told me. He didn't want to, but he's always been a true friend. Mike, I saw something yesterday. We were at our usual spot at Panther Coffee. Jessica and Carlos. At the Fontainebleau. They weren't working out. The world stopped spinning. The coffee turned to acid in my stomach. How long? Dan hesitate. Sarah says it's been going on for months. Before the open marriage? He nodded. I think so. Everything clicked into place. The sudden interest in open marriage. The late nights at the gym. The fitness conventions. It had all been a lie. A cover for her affair with Carlos. I'd been played. Like a fool. I drove to Elite Fitness. Rage building with every mile. The valet recognized me. Mr. Campbell, your wife's inside. Of course she was. With him. The gym was crowded. Miami's elite working on their perfect bodies. Music pounding through speakers. I found him in his office. Through the glass walls. Too close to be professional. Laughing at something on her phone. Probably laughing at me. I didn't knock. Just pushed the door open. They jumped apart. Like teenagers caught by parents. Mike. Jessica's face went pale. What are you doing here? How long? I asked, my voice surprisingly calm. How long have you been fucking him? Carlos stood up, all 6 feet of sculpted muscle. Mike, let's talk about this like adults. Adults? I laughed. It sounded hysterical, even to me. Like how you've been adultering with my wife. It's not what you think, Jessica started. Really? Because I think you've been sleeping with him. Before all this open marriage bullshit. I think you played me. Used me. Made me look like a fool. The gym had gone quiet. People were watching. Phones were out. Recording. My eyes' latest drama. About to go viral. I didn't care. You couldn't just ask for a divorce? Had to humiliate me first? Make me agree to watch you with other men? Mike, please. Jessica was crying now. Perfect mascara running down her cheeks. I never meant to hurt you. Funny way of showing it. Carlos stepped between us. I think you should leave. Something in me snapped. Years of suppressed rage. Months of humiliation. All exploding at once. My fist connected with his jaw. The sound echoed through the gym. More phones recording. More witnesses to my breakdown. Security arrived. Dragged me out. Through the lobby. Past shocked faces. Past phone cameras. past my dignity, into the Miami heat. By the time I got home, the video was already on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, hashtag Miami Gym Drama trending locally. My phone exploding with notifications, messages from friends, colleagues, clients, all watching my marriage implode in high definition, with a perfect view of Biscayne Bay in the background. Dan picked me up from the police station the next morning. My knuckles were bruised. My head was pounding, but my mind was finally clear. "You look like shit," he said. "Feel worse," I replied. "The video's everywhere." "I know." We drove to his place in Coconut Grove. Sarah had the guest room ready. Fresh towels, clean sheets, a semblance of normalcy. "Stay as long as you need," she said, squeezing my shoulder. Sometimes silence says more than words. My phone had hundreds of messages, missed calls, texts, emails. I ignored them all, except one, from my boss. "Take some time off. Sort yourself out. We'll talk when you're ready." At least I still had a job. For now. Dan suggested therapy. Knew someone good. Dr. Collins. Specialized in trauma, marriage counseling. "You need professional help, Mike. This isn't something you can drink away." He was right. I made the call. Dr. Collins's office was in Coral Gables. Old Spanish architecture. Peaceful garden. Like entering another world. Away from the chaos of Miami. Away from Instagram drama. Away from her. "Tell me what brings you here, Mike." Dr. Collins had kind eyes. Gray hair. The kind of face that's seen it all. So I told him everything. The open marriage proposal. Lucas and Ryan. Ben. Carlos. The gym fight. The viral video. My shame. He listened without judgment, taking notes, nodding occasionally. When I finished, he leaned forward. "What you've experienced is a form of emotional abuse. Your wife manipulated you, used your love against you, made you question your own worth." Finally, someone understood. We met twice a week, talking through the pain, the anger, the betrayal. "You need to rebuild yourself," he said. "Not for her, not for revenge, for you." He suggested a support group, men who'd been through similar experiences. We met in a community center near Brickell. Every Wednesday night. Different stories. Same pain. Same loss of identity. Same need to heal. That's where I met Tom, a corporate lawyer. Been through worse than me. "You need Laura Mitchell," he said one night. "Best divorce attorney in Miami. Takes no prisoners." Handed me her card. "Tell her I sent you." Laura's office was all glass and chrome. 48th floor. Downtown Miami spread out below, like a chessboard. And she was a grandmaster. "Tell me everything," she said. So I did. Again. She smiled when I mentioned the prenup. "This is good," she said. "Very good." Pulled up files on her computer. "Your wife breached the fidelity clause before the open marriage arrangement. We can prove it. Take everything." The legal machine started moving. Private investigators, witness statements, bank records, credit card receipts, building a case, piece by piece, like a puzzle, showing Jessica's true colors. The gym video helped. Sympathy was on my side. The betrayed husband, the faithful partner. People love a victim, especially one who fights back. Laura was ruthless. Subpoenaed Carlos, Lucas, Ryan, Ben. Their testimonies damning. Timeline clear. Jessica had been unfaithful long before the open marriage. Used it as cover to justify her affairs. The court date approached. Jessica tried to settle, offered half, then 60%. Laura advised against it. "We can get more. Make her pay. For everything." The courthouse was packed. Local media present. Miami loves scandal, especially among the beautiful people. Jessica wore Chanel. Looked perfect, as always. But her eyes were scared. Her lawyer painted me as controlling, jealous, unable to handle modern marriage. Laura destroyed that narrative with texts, emails, witness statements, showing the truth. The judge was a woman in her 60s. Traditional values. No patience for deception. She saw through Jessica's tears, her claims of misunderstanding, her pleas for fairness. This court finds in favor of the plaintiff. We got everything: the house, the boat, most of our assets. Jessica got enough to start over. Barely. Carlos fired her from Elite Fitness. Bad publicity. Her Instagram following dropped. Reality hits hard. I sold the house. Too many memories. Bought a smaller place in Coral Gables, near Dr. Collins's office. Still see him sometimes. Not because I need to, because I want to stay grounded. Started my own real estate company, specialized in luxury properties. The scandal helped, oddly enough. People remembered my name, the wronged husband, who fought back and won. Still go to the support group, not as a victim now, as a mentor, helping others heal, find their strength, their worth, their path forward. Dan and Sarah had a baby, made me godfather. Life goes on, creates new connections, new meanings, new hopes. Saw Jessica last week at Panther Coffee, our old spot. She looked different, smaller somehow, less shine, more real. She tried to speak. I just walked away, not out of anger or hate, just nothing left to say, nothing left to feel. Sometime, yes, at night, I sit on my new balcony, watch the Miami lights, think about everything that happened, how I lost myself, found myself, rebuilt myself. The pain is still there, a dull ache, rather than a sharp stab, reminder of what I survived, what I learned, who I became. Life isn't perfect, never was, never will be, but it's real now, honest, mine, and that's enough.